Millions of the people around the world are suffering from the migraines, as the rate in the UK is quite high, as much as around aged between 15 to 69. Still, it's a mystery to the science, and there is no such medication for a proper cure. My name is Naila Uzair, and today we are going to talk about why do we get migraines and do we have a solution for that? Let's see, why do we get migraines? So it's a very simple question, yet very tricky to answer. If I go for a very simple one answer, that would be simply no, because there is no such evidence or there is no such answer for that question that science knows that why do we get research of so many years. It appears that the underlying science of this matter is so inexact and complicated that there is no such answer for this problem. Even though it remains worth emphasizing that the poor understanding is notably different from not any understanding. Study has shown so many important things about migraines: the reason why it occurs, why it endures, who it affects, and why it catches us so intensely. Is it just a severe headache? Some might be lucky to deal with it, as it's easy to classify migraines as a kind of headache. However, headache is an indubitable part of the experience of migraine. They are actually far more than just a headache and have a several key differences. As headaches are more common than migraines, it shows approximately that up to 70% among all the people may have experienced at the minimum one headache within the year. On the contrary, study reveals that below 20% people experience migraines, not more than 15% of those having severe migraines. So there is more significant gender division, with migraines around 2 to 3 times as much women enduring them as compared to men, a ratio that rise and fall irregularly relying on the stage of life. In addition, though there is unpredictability and overlap, migraines and headaches have recognizable aspects. The more frequent types of headaches are tension headaches. There is a pressure and tension on both sides of head. Sinus headaches due to congestion, although sinus subjecting swell and brings pressure on tissues, front and back and surrounding of eyes and nose. And a group of similar headaches like painful recurring headaches, more frequently restricted around the eye area, especially the one side of the head. Although continuous pain in the head can be misdiagnosed as migraines and vice versa, migraines in the most cases have their own distinctive attributes set them apart. They are more frequently making weak with increased fatigue and being sensitive to light. The durability is prolonged and have an unusual manner of reliable shape of progression with unique levels and having nausea too. In many cases, sensory distortions such as perception of auras. In the end, though there is undeniably a lot of overlap, migraines tend to have different mechanism and expression as to most headaches, to a level that they are formally identified as a neurological disorder, where headaches generally aren't. Deeper cause of migraines. Number one, it's a bitter fact that we are still uncertain about how and why migraines appears when more unexpected when you consider the duration we have been going through with them. Number two, notes from old civilization like Egyptians and Greeks dating around 1200 BC explain particular ailments and practical observations that are serving as a sign of migraine. So deeper cause of migraines again we have from the most complex process we currently know are getting positioned into the head and brain when a migraine happens. If someone tend to be at the root of them all, that's something familiar as a cortical spreading depression or CSD. It's something when a neuron, a brain cell, a brain cell uh, experiences an unexpected burst of activity called depolarization, a short duration flipping of the microscopic voltage that exists along the cell membrane among the neurons. This depolarization is the underlying support of all the activity and the signals that happen inside our brain and body. Though it's a demanding process, so after it happens, neurons are briefly depressed or in a constant state when they are not active. Okay, this depolarization is the underlying support of all the activity and signals that happen inside our brain and body, though it's a demanding process. So after it happens, neurons are briefly depressed and or in a constant state where they are not active. Depolarization is usually initiated and strengthened as a part of one of the numerous processes happening inside the human brain. As a matter of fact, it shows that sometimes, for whatever cause, specific neurons will depolarize due to very likely that all neurons are linked together. And all their activity in the end, the main reason is changes in the concentration of chemicals surrounding and inside it. And this is unsurprising depolarizations extends next to the nearest neurons and to the near ones and so forth. This activity is extremely slow and may take minutes to hours even to pass from one region of the brain to the next. Therefore, we have CSD. It's unfortunate that anomalous neurological activity, invaluable and fragile brain parts may cause to negative effects. Most frequently that this multiplying wave of neurological activity is what lead to the causing discomfort features of migraines and would suggest why migraines have such recognizably different stages. The wave of CST starts in one part of the brain, leading to one sort of symptoms and passes through established routes in incorporating more brain parts, and as a result, causing different and often more severe symptoms along the way. Definitely, if the CST spreads to such an extent that the occipital lobe and visual cortex, you may feel to see visual symptoms, which shows why some migraines have auras. It will also show why migraines prolong. The boosting wave of CST slowly passes through the brain, lasting longer the suffering of the migraines victim. So let's see nerves vs blood vessels. It would be okay to say that the migraines are because of slow extending over larger region wave of anomalous neurological activity in the brain. But then question is how we get something so central important to something as tangible as intense headache, pain, nausea, light sensitivity and all the rest. That's where the problem becomes difficult. For sometimes there was a clear debate as to if there is the main feature of migraines were neurological because of unhelpful activity in and between cells, or vascular because of changes in the blood vessels that supply the brain. Since from many years it was believed that the migraines have been more vascular in the nature, the throbbing nature of more migraines can be reminiscent of the feelings of your pulse and shows perceptibly touching changes in pressure that will surely indicate an issue with the brain and head blood supply. Okay, it have been believed by so many that the blood vessels in the tissue layers, the ones are surrounding the brain and protect the brain, gone through vasodilation expansion, which results and rise in the blood pressure, and in the already densely crowded environs of brain tissue, and the pressure increase was realized as pain. But according to more authentic evidence show that the vasodilation isn't as important as factor in the migraines as was earlier assumed. On the other hand, as a matter of fact, it shows that sometimes, for whatever cause, specific neurons will depolarize due to very likely that all neurons are linked together and all their activity in the end. The main reason is to change in the concentration of chemicals surrounding and inside it. This is unsurprising. Depolarization extends next to the nearest neurons and the near ones and so forth. This activity is extremely slow and may take minutes to hours when to pass from one region of the brain to the next. Therefore, we have CST. It's unfortunate that anomalous neurological activity in valuable and fragile brain parts may cause two negative effects. Most frequently, that this multiplying wave of neurological activity is what lead to the causing discomfort feature of migraines and would suggest why migraines have such recognizably different stages. After all that appears from wave of not helping activity in neurons, that imitation have a secondary effects in the neuron, right? A specific focus for the neurological features of migraine is the trigeminal nerve. In an equivalent way, abnormal activity in the trigeminal nerve is nearby linked to the symptoms of migraine and shows why grinding your teeth or clenching your jaw, the two actions relying on the trigeminal nerve, are related with boosting migraines. The truth is, although it's intensely not usual that migraines are exclusively resulting by neurological or vascular factors. For example, some give the reason that the CST causes vasodilation in the trigeminal nerve, which results to increased pressure and consequently pain. So that's explained it's both a neurological and vascular tissue. Thus, some people interrelating to migraines as a neurovascular condition. Indeed, into this stage, you may cross-question that recognizing between neurological and vascular features doesn't come easy and in the end insignificant. Activity in neurons constantly causes to changes in the properties and behavior of closely blood vessels, and blood vessels without changing direction affect the neurons through the pressure and chemical they apply. which explains that the anomalous activity in the brain may more frequently be affecting both nerves and blood vessels simultaneously. Migraine hormones, chemicals, and having sex. So, consequently, so far it appears like migraines are cause of waves of anomalous nerve activity increasing slowly in every part of a specific region of the brain that results into not helping and disruptive alters into neurons and blood vessels in those areas. That in turn leads to the impassively varied it if intensely causing discomfort symptoms of migraine. It creates a logical sense that if you bring about anomalous activity in so many significant and fundamental regions of the brain, it's unavoidably going to cause a wide range of physical problems and disruption. But then it's possible to see even closely than we already have, though, if we take that the migraines emerge due to abnormal neutral activity that causes to CST, even though some other theory points to abnormal activity in the brainstem. What is that leads to this abnormal activity in the first place? Like always, it's difficult to certain 100%, but many of data points is to being at least in part the cause of a drop in the stage of vital neurological chemicals in the closely connected brain parts. Among those is a serotonin, a neurotransmitter with most important role, most known in the regulation of mood. On the other hand, there are much of the study that shows to drop in serotonin level being a potential boost for the beginning of the migraines. But serotonin isn't the only important brain chemical that may cause to migraines when the level of it decreases. Then there is a estrogen, and estrogen is a hormone that has far more important role in the female biology than male. So that explains why women are prone to migraines than men and how their reproductive cycle and stage of life could play a big role in their experience of migraine. There are some other chemicals that play a part. Stress is constantly referred to as a common cause of migraine. For sure, if stress is a factor in leading to migraine, then being constantly debilitated by migraines is unavoidably stressful, so a vicious feedback loop kicks in. There are many studies on the drops in serotonin levels being a potential trigger to the onset of migraine. So that's all. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe my channel and like my video. And if you want me to make any video according to your demand, so please tell me in the comment below. Thank you.